So at this time, it's 9:43, and I really want to make sure that she has enough time. So I've in a little bit of a way have introduced you to Jane Erickson. If you didn't already know her, by the time that she's through with her presentation, she's going to be a good friend of yours, just like she is of mine. And she told me when I was coming in as governor that she would be there to support me and she would help whatever I needed her to do. And so far, I've asked her 2 different things to do. And before I got the question out, she answered, yes, of course. And Jane is awesome. She's been through a lot in the last couple of years, and she keeps that beautiful smile. And the yellow that she's wearing radiates the smile that she has. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce to you one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, Jane Erickson.
Oh my goodness, thank you. You are a love, you know that. It is amazing to be here with the Southwest District. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. All the thank yous that I got this morning, or the kudos. Wow, you made me feel really good.
Yeah,
all the hugs, and it's so fun to go through the pictures and see all the faces I recognize. Joe de Blasi, I hope my beard doesn't show a lot today on the video. Nice to see you. Haven't changed a whole lot. You still look exactly like the last time I was out there. It is a privilege and an honor to work with Alma. I'll tell you what, Alma, you are a love. You are a dear. And I knew when I was Bob's counselor from the KI board that you two were true blue Kiwanis. True blue Kiwanis couple. Very impressive. And I'm so pleased to be able to help you out in any way that I can.
Thank you.
Today, it's a delight to have so many leaders on and to see how many of you are making such an incredible difference in the lives of children. Developing leaders at all levels is a passion of mine because I truly believe that the world needs Kiwanis right now. I've been a member for 32 years. I believe the world needs Kiwanis now, maybe more than ever before. We live in a world that appears to be unhappy. I've been a K-Kids advisor for, I think this is my, 23rd, 24th year, forever. And one of the kids the other day said, there's so much we could do in the world because the world's kind of not happy right now. And I thought, kind of not happy. I said, are you saying the world is unhappy? And 2 little kids were sitting there, male and female, looking at each other, and they both said, yeah, world's not happy right now. I think we need to have K-Kids lead the world. And I thought, oh, hey, I'm for that. Go ahead. I'll vote for both of you. We're good to go. I love it when I watch these kids stand up and they see where the need is and they go after it. So friends, let's talk about developing Southwest Kiwanis leaders at all levels. Leaders come, as you can see from the pictures this morning, we come in all different sizes and shapes and colors and ages. And I learn from every single leader that I work with. A number of years ago now, I took our 2 youngest grandsons to the zoo. At the time, they were 5 and 3, and the 5-year-old had just started kindergarten, and the 3-year-old had just started preschool. And they're feeling pretty good about themselves that day. And the 5-year-old said, okay, Grandma, I just want you to know that now that I'm in kindergarten, we have this thing called the leader of the day. And they said, the leader of the day? And he said, yes. So today I'm going to be the leader of the day. I said, I'm all for that. Yep, I'll give you all the responsibility. You're it, kid. You lead us. He said, all right, I'm the leader. Let's go. Off we went. He took about 10 steps with conviction. And then he started to slow down a little bit. And I thought, what's going on here? Then the steps got a little slower, and I'm slowing down the stroller. And I finally thought, uh-oh, something's happening here. His little head went down. And then he turned around and I noticed his bottom lip was quivering. And I said, Alex, what's the matter? I thought you wanted to be the leader today. He said, I do want to be the leader, but I have a problem. I don't know where we're going. I thought, you know what? Gotta love it. Show of hands, how many of you have ever been behind that leader and you thought, wow, he or she has no idea where we're going here? Now, here's a real question. Raise your hand. How many times have you been that leader? You thought, oh no, look at all these people with me. I have no idea what we're doing. I have no idea where we're going. I hope I don't get found out here. Well, I'll tell you what, leaders come in all different sizes and shapes and all different timing and all different opportunities. So let's take a look at this guy. Recognize this leader? This was the president of my club years ago. He was a great leader, ex-military, former military, great job, did a great job in his job. And one day he said to me, I don't know what's going on here. I know I'm a great leader. I just can't get anybody to follow me. And I couldn't help but laugh and thought, yep. We had a great conversation that day. And I said, well, think about who it is that you're leading. At that time, our club had 2 past governors, a myriad of past lieutenant governors, a gazillion past presidents. And I said, this is not really a matter of you leading and we all follow. This is a matter of help us go together. There are a few things that we need to remember when we lead. There are lots of things we need to remember when we lead, but one of them is to really remember what it means to lead. According to Webster, it means to guide someone or something along the way. Now, think about your own positions. Positions you're in right now, positions you've been in. What were you trying to get people to do? Leading is all about influence. Think about it. How many of you have ever influenced people to do something really positive and you actually managed to get it done? How many of you have done that? Fantastic. And how many of you have siblings? And when you were little, you influenced them or led them to do things you know they shouldn't have done. Come on, think about it. Yes. Well, we all have to think about that capacity and what we have and the opportunity that we have to lead. You think about what it is. What am I leading him to do? So if you have a piece of paper close by, write down the names of 3 people in your life that you look up to as leaders. And put them in kind of a category. They might be your supervisor at work, might be a work colleague, might be somebody in a worldview. Alma, would you call on 3 different people in this group to tell me who they listed, tell the rest of us who they listed as their leaders?
Let's see. Who do we want to call in here? Bob Greenbach.
Yes.
Very tentative there, Bob.
Yeah.
Who
I've
did
got
you list?
so old. Some of the big leaders in my life that I really, really look up to are gone. So
Mm-hmm.
right now I'm having a little struggling to find out current leaders, but
That's all right. Who were the past leaders that meant so much to you?
well, okay, let's see, Jay Rupert, who he was a good friend of the family's. He was a pilot with Eastern Airlines, and I looked up to him. He kind of one of the people who really got me into aviation, and I eventually became an airline pilot. And
Nice.
29,000 hours later, I retired. And
Wow.
let's see, I have Joe Hazel. He was one of my first bosses in the airline industry, and just a great guy. He made it real fun to come to work.
Hmm.
And I guess my dad, and he, great leader, and
Excellent.
my brother and I, teenagers getting into trouble, and got us out of trouble, and all that. But I'm now in my 70s, and right now, just everybody's gone. Were my great leaders.
And you know what, Bob? They're still with you because they've left that legacy for you. So when you talk about mentor or having fun, having your back, these are leaders, and these are things we all want to incorporate into how we lead. Thank you, Bob. All right, Alma, got another one?
Okay, Greg Landers.
Greg Landers, aye.
Okay.
Okay, you're up.
How's that, Don? Spoken like a true Navy man. Interestingly, and not so surprisingly, my three leaders that I wrote down are all military related. I have a military background, fortunately in the Navy, not another lesser service. And, I'm goading Don Townsend here a little bit, but, and two of the three that I've listed are departed. But my first one is Colin Powell. I learned about him when he was a young general officer, and kind of watched him progress up through the Pentagon and into the White House. And I always wanted Colin Powell to run for president. And my understanding is that he had made a promise to his wife that he wouldn't. But we were both from New York City. I admired the fact that he was a graduate of the local, basically community college in New York. And he did such a great job. So I just admired his leadership. I also had the pleasure of working under him, very, very far under him, during the Gulf War. And I just admired the way he led. Now, my second person, also departed now, was somebody I referred to as my second father. And I met him when I joined Kiwanis in 1990 in the Kiwanis Club of San Jose, California. And I'll give you his name in a moment, but when I walked in, he was the greeter, and we looked eye to eye. Now, those of you who know me know I'm 6'6", so it's not easy for me to look eye to eye to somebody. And he grabbed my hand and pumped it and said, "Hi, I'm Carlos Ogden. Nice to meet you," and just kept pumping away. Well, to cut this a little bit short, Carlos at the time was the last living recipient of the Medal of Honor in the San Jose, Santa Clara Valley area. I went on to serve with Carlos later on the San Jose Veterans Memorial Committee. He had four sons. Three of them were also his height. And then somehow he had one shorty, and we always used to joke about who his father was. But since I was about the same height as the family, he lovingly called me his fifth son. And when Carlos passed, I had the honor of being his military escort officer, conveying bringing his remains back to Arlington National Cemetery and burying Carlos. But I won't go into the full story of how he earned his, not won, but earned, not WON, If anybody said you won the Medal of Honor, Carlos would deck him. How he earned the Medal of Honor, but it was a true story of leadership by example. As Alma was saying earlier, you lead by example. Now, the third person I'm going to mention here is also has a military background. Haven't known this person quite as long as the other two, but fortunately, this one is living. And not trying to embarrass anybody here, but this is Don Townsend. And I met Don a couple of years ago when he was governor-elect, and I was just coming into the Kiwanis Club of Tucson. And Don and I have grown to be good friends despite our backgrounds. Yeah, unfortunately, Don was in the Army and I was in the Navy, and we revel in that quite a bit. But I like everything about Don. We share our thoughts, our philosophy, our jokes, often at the expense of the other. I think Don was not only a great military leader, but he's also a great Kiwanis leader. And I try and emulate him when I can, not very successfully, but anyway, those are my three names.
That is great. Thank you, Greg. And you heard some of the similar stories as Bob, some of the same kinds of people. The thing that really strikes me is that you're looking up to them. You're emulating some of their behaviors or attempting to. You felt supported and pushed at some time to even be better, to be more like Colin Powell, to be more like Don Townsend, to take who you are and use some of their strengths to create an even better you. Perfect. All right, Alma, got one more?
Yeah, one more. Nancy
All right,
Druin.
I'll chip in if nobody else wants to. Can you hear me?
Joe?
Sure, Joe. Go ahead.
Go for it, Joe.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's interesting when you're putting down, and then I put 3 down, then I wanted to put 3 more down, and it's just kind of the way it goes. And so you can't really, I don't think, summarize 3, but I put down my 8th grade teacher. And the reason I put my 8th grade teacher down is that I went to a pretty strict Catholic school as a kid back in Brooklyn, New York. And of course, in the 8th grade, they were afraid that we were going to go to maybe a public school for high school. Oh my goodness gracious, that would be the end, So he was, I guess he would be like our in-between parent telling us what to expect in this cool world that we were going out to meet. The things that we were protected against being a parochial school, and then all of a sudden we were going to be in a public school. So he was good guy and spent a lot of time helping kids. Even after we graduated, they would come back to him if they had certain problems. So that was, the age that we talk about now. I won't get off on the tangent. Maybe we're going to hit that with the teen suicide situation is so bad today. So in those days, probably wasn't as bad as, but we didn't know. But we needed somebody like more of those 8th grade teachers. The other one is interesting because I played a lot of sandlot baseball back in New York. I played 6 games a week, actually. Doubleheader on Saturday, doubleheader on Sunday, and Tuesday and Thursday Twilight League. So I played a lot of ball. The coaches that coached, those people are really forgotten, I think. How many hours they put in to coach, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is. The training, picking up the equipment, calling the kids that don't show up. It's another life. And so I admired 2 of my baseball coaches as a kid up until I was about 16, 17 years old when I couldn't pick up my arm anymore because I threw it out, but that's another story. And then I have to finish with 2 people that are Kiwanians that I just can't stop thanking them for all that they did for me when I was governor-elect and governor, and even after, I guess, past governor. And that's, of course, Roseanne. Roseanne probably is still shaking from the day that she met me and said, this guy with the crazy accent and all the stupid things he wants to do, and I'm still the secretary. Ken, where are you? Ken, hurry up. So anyhow, Roseanne thankfully, we're still good friends and communicate. And I just love that lady for what she did for me. And the other one is Phil. Phil, our attorney, who of course is now retired. I just felt so comfortable calling him or meeting him for lunch or doing something because something was bothering me. And he never said no. I mean, he was busy as could be and always had the time to say, yeah, maybe about 3:30, could you come by or could we? And so taking the pressure off you as your governor or whatever, you have enough going on and things on, and all of a sudden you have this perhaps legal situation that comes up and really don't know what to do about it. Okay. So again, Phil, thank you so much for rescuing me and keeping me out of jail. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, thanks, Phil, for keeping Joe out of jail. You know, we all have a variety of reasons why we look up to people or why we gravitate towards specific leaders. They become our advisors. It might be our parents. Our parents may have been gone for years, yet they still leave that really strong example for us. Might be political figures, and I say that might be world leaders. Our little K kids who said the world's unhappy because we have some kind of unhappy leaders right now around the world. I thought, wow, how powerful is that? Let's think about the things that the legacy that not only we are leaving, but the legacy we are living as leaders becomes very powerful. Everything we think, say, and do is sharing our family name, our Kiwanis name. It's making an impact on the world. What about our teachers, our peers, our religious leaders, the volunteers that we work with, our children, our own children become leaders, and we learn a lot from our children. Now, there are lots of others. When we think about leaders, each one of us has a powerful impact, an opportunity to make a powerful impact and to leave that legacy. Now, which teams are you leading? There are lots of teams. We might be leading in our family of origin. So we're leading in some way in our family. Joe talked about his coaches. Well, you know what? We have a lot of Kiwanis clubs that sponsor little kids teams as well, that remember their time as a kid in baseball, and the front of their shirt said the Kiwanis Club of, and whatever it is, they remember that. You may be leading at work. Maybe it's a work team that you're leading. You're leading in Kiwanis. I love this one. Because who's up there on the top? Those are the kids. That's who we're supporting. We're supporting kids. These are our presidents. These are the lieutenant governors, and the officers are down here leading. At times we are passing the baton from one leader to another, and we need to be very strong in the way that we lead so that we're leaving things better than when we found them. And our leaders might be our friends. I love this picture because it reminds me of my mother. See how they're half of them are off the side of the cliff? My mother used to say, well, and at this picture, I love it. I don't know if they're pulling each other off the cliff or if these guys are pushing them off the cliff. But my mom always used to say, girls, if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you? And I always thought, I guess it depends on who's leading, right? Things to think about. Now, what happens with poor leadership? Let's think about this from a club perspective. What happens with poor leadership in a club? Help, especially if you're the one on the bottom. We all know, and there are lots of leaders on this call, but we all know that with poor leadership in a club, there can be unrest. Now, there can also be unrest with very strong leadership in the club. But when we have very poor leadership, there's often unrest at some level. There's unhappiness. People can be crabby when they come to the meetings, or they don't come to the meetings at all. If there's unrest or unhappiness, people don't come back. There's certainly no growth. There's either poor or very little service being done because you're all fighting about what it is you want to do instead of what it is you can do and will do. Things begin to pile up, and it really does if you're the one on the bottom there. It's like, ooh, hard to work with. In terms of storytellers, I was invited to speak to a club that was having an issue with their president. They said she's not a strong leader. She said she was a strong leader, but no one would do what she told them to do. I was their speaker. I had driven 3.5 hours to come over to this club and be their speaker. 12 o'clock came, no president. People were eating. I looked around and thought, is anybody going to start this meeting? 12:10, no president. 12:20, and I had said to somebody, is your president going to come? They said, oh, we never know when she's going to show up. It's like, okay, this is very telling, right? So we heard about the 9 leaders that we just talked about. You know, they showed up. 12:20, this woman came walking in, walked to the podium. I was sitting right next to it. I stood up, went to shake her hand, and she said, nope, 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 nope. Don't touch my hands. I just came from getting my fingernails done. I don't want you messing them up. This was their club president. Wow. Poor leadership. Yeah, I felt this is where the majority of the really good members were, right down here at the bottom, feeling like the world had just dropped on them. Now, poor leaders can come in a lot of different shapes, a lot of different sizes, a lot of different ways of doing it. I was actually in another club where I walked out and thought, wow, that president is totally retired in place. No interest in doing anything. Poor leadership is just as powerful as excellent leadership. So what happens with great leadership? Wow. The club meetings are exciting. The projects are exciting. They get a tremendous amount done in their communities. They're all singing the same song. And it's exciting. You've been in those meetings where you thought, oh, I feel good just being around these people. Now, I learned a lot working with the membership draws. So we would have this guest day and bring everybody. And I had driven to be the guest speaker at one of the club meetings. And I thought, well, that was interesting. Well, months later, I had another training. And one of the gentlemen in the training said, well, I want you to know that I was in that meeting and I joined Kiwanis because of what you said. And I joined Kiwanis thinking I was going to get the club that you presented. Only I got mine. How do we make this exciting? He took a big role in that and a big role in his club in order to lift that club with very powerful leadership, very great leadership. Now, there is a fine line in the leadership. It's sometimes challenging to get a club excited about things. So how do you go about doing that? I'll tell you what, you've got a lot of powerful leaders on this call right now. 50 powerful Southwest Kiwanis leaders. This is what happens with great leadership. This is why we have a new club. This is why your numbers are coming back up. This is why you have, 2,000 key clubbers now? Because there are people who are willing to be great leaders and to mentor other leaders. So you gentlemen that spoke about the people, your leaders that you looked up to, they mentored you. They may not have made one-on-one connections with you like Colin Powell, but they mentored you because they led by example and showed you how to do it. So how and where can we lead in Kiwanis? We can lead at the club level And guess what? You don't have to have a title to be a leader. You don't have to be wearing one of those shiny name tags. At one time, I was in a meeting in Kiwanis International, and one of the incoming presidents, international presidents, walked in and said, "This year, we're getting rid of all the gold name tags." And I thought, what? And he said, "They're going to be blue and white. We're getting rid of the gold badge syndrome." And I thought, the gold badge syndrome? I said, meaning? He said, standing in front and saying, "I'm the leader. That makes me more important than everyone else." And I couldn't help but laugh. And I thought, that's not a name tag. That's an attitude. So think about what you're doing and what you're sharing at a club level. Every one of us is contagious. Is what you are thinking worth catching? Is what you're doing worth catching? When our gentleman this morning talked about the 9 leaders that meant the most to them, or 9 or 10, I think, by the time we were finished with that, they caught attitudes from these people. These 3 caught those good behaviors. Can you share that in your club? Absolutely. There are some on this call who could step up and be club leaders, whether those are committee chairs or whether those are officers, board members. Think about that. What step will you take? Division leaders, being a lieutenant governor. Being a lieutenant governor is one of the best jobs I ever had along the way. And I think, well, according to one of my grandchildren, I've been in every job there is in Kiwanis. In fact, our district secretary gave me a new name tag. It says Jane Erickson passed everything. I thought, okay, gotta love that. And then the bottom line of it says still ta-da. And I thought, there you go. You can serve in all these roles and still be a ta-da, right? So our division, the lieutenant governor, is such a fabulous position, being able to share with those club presidents and help them be the best that they can be in that position. Because, wow, as a lieutenant governor, you can make a huge impact in the life of your presidents as well. Oh, did you hear my late husband's clock going off? I usually move that, but I've decided no, because every time it goes off, it reminds me we have more things we can do. All right, there's still time. Let's get busy. Club division, club level, division level, district level. Absolutely. Stepping up into that position. Looking at mentoring others. Alma, you said you're in this position because someone came to you and said, we truly believe this is a position you would be able to be great at and you'd be able to share in.
Yes.
Ask others, mentor others, step from club to division to district, and even look at international positions. There are a lot of you who could step right up into some of these trustee positions, who could serve on the board. I'll tell you what, I was at that position because someone believed in me and someone came to me and said, we believe this is a position you'd be really good at. I also served on the Kiwanis Children's Fund, the Kiwanis International Foundation Board. And I did that because my president, when I was governor, said, I want you to serve on this board. I said, I'll think about it. Got off the phone and my husband said, are you crazy? Get back on that phone and tell him, yes, you have the abilities, you have the skills. What are you stalling for? So I got back on the phone and I said, all right, how many women are on that board? And he said, none. How old is that board? Well, you should know that. You're a governor. True. All right, fair enough. Why do you want me to do it? His comment, I want you to get in and shake the old boys up. I have to know that'd be a challenge for me. And that was fun. So all kinds of opportunities for us to make a difference, whether it's at a club, division, district, or international levels. Look down at those 3 names that you listed for your leaders. What are some of those behaviors that you would notice from them? We talked about leading by example. We talked about they made life fun. Talked about they stood behind you and supported you. You always knew they had your back. For the three that you listed, what are the top 3 behaviors of the leaders that you chose? Okay, Alma, we're going to let you pick 3 more, and all we need are those 3 behaviors. Just tell me which 3 you wrote down.
Okay, Karen Church.
My dogs are kind of going nuts in the background, so they might want to participate.
That's good.
But the behaviors were they listened and they showed up, and that they through their actions demonstrated that they cared.
Nice.
And Chloe's adding her 2 bits too.
Thank you, Chloe. All right. Thank you.
Nancy Druin.
Yes, dedication, I think, is one of the greatest things that I've noticed in my leaders. No matter what they're asked, they just give it everything they've got.
Love it.
A good heart.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. We have one more?
Yeah, I have, I have 2.5. Well, dedicated, of course, was the first one, but I put down that they were also very friendly, and they have a way about themselves to somehow or other, even the most difficult people that they have to deal with, they find a way to get their confidence, okay? And make themselves available when things get going that are really, really tough. So those are my 3.
Joe, is that you talking?
Yes.
Oh, very good. Well, I'll tell you what, you spoke about difficult people. But we don't have difficult people in Kiwanis, do we?
No.
Sorry about that. Yeah, can you fire a volunteer?
No.
Sure you can. You plaque him and sack him. Okay, that's terrible. All right, totally getting off. I went off on a tangent there. We talk about these behaviors. There are all kinds of wonderful things. Leading with kindness. Absolutely. Leading with support. We talk about what kind of behaviors we love to see. I love to hang around people with vision who help create a picture of what we could be when we work together. You lead by example when you say was it Nancy that just said you really step up and help anytime you ask. Maybe I missed who that was, but whoever it was, thank you, because you step up. Great leaders, people ask you to do it and you say, yep, tell me when, how much time, what do you need? They show up and show up in mind, body, and spirit. They're completely there. They're not there, and the next thing you see is that they're on their phone constantly, blah, blah, blah. They're there. Okay? Integrity, a positive attitude, having skills in this field, being lifelong learners, like those of you who are on today. Job is to pick up 2 new things. My dad always taught us our job is to learn 2 new things every day. And do you ever get too old to learn? Nope. My dad died at 96 and he was still trying to learn 2 new jokes every day. Some of them were terrible jokes, but he still had them. He and my husband used to share them. We laughed about them being dad jokes. They were worse than dad jokes. They were funny though. All right. Excellent communication skills for our leaders, being connectors, empowering themselves and others, being action oriented, and having intuition and that good feel about what's happening in your club. When we look at their behaviors, we look at the kinds of things that we can do and how we come together. over the years, I've come to believe that we can put those skills, that knowledge, those behaviors in basically 3 categories. It's to educate, to engage, and to empower. So let's talk a little bit about what that means, educate. And I was trying to go through some of the little chat notes, and I'm sorry, I'm not great at doing all this at one time, but Karen, I see that I have misspoke. I misspoke about the number of key clubbers. I thought it was 2,000. Did I just understand you to say there are 3,500 now?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah, sorry, it took me a while to unmute, but yes.
That's all right.
We're very proud, past pre-pandemic numbers now.
All right. See, now you've educated me. I'm smarter now, knowing that there are that many young people in the Southwest District who can come and help us create, or we can help them create, a wonderful future for all of us. The first thing we want to do in terms of education is looking at creating a vision. And that vision needs to be clear, concise, and compelling so that we can come together as a group and go after that. So if our goal is to help with the mental health in our community, then we need to create a vision for how we as a club can do that. If our goal is to feed kiddos during the summer months for those who would go without meals, then our vision needs to be clear, concise, and compelling with that. And there are lots of different pieces that, of course, will tie into that. The second piece of that is creating an action plan. We always talk about strategic planning, and I teach strategic planning. There's always a very big difference in what we should be doing, what we could be doing, and what you're actually going to do. So let's look at what you're actually going to do and begin to build that accountability into it. How is it we can be accountable? Of the leaders that we look at that we wrote down today, those 3, and as Joe said, it's tough to only write 3. Well, you write your top leaders down and you think about what they do. They go after things and accomplish things, and people want to be a part of that. And that brings us to being engaged with others. So educate, engage. When I was asked to come on that Kiwanis International Foundation board years ago, I sat down with my parents, who are amazing leaders, each in their own way. And I said, what's the most powerful thing you can suggest for me as I come onto this board? And my dad said, well, you always teach about connections. And the best way to connect with others is to live your life with integrity. Your integrity is pure gold, and don't ever put your integrity on the table to be discussed. You do what you say you're going to do. You do it at the highest level. Well, when we teach in Key Leader, when we teach about integrity, we start with talking about honesty, and honesty is knowing the difference between right and wrong. Integrity is living that honesty. Never falling in what we call the integrity gap. What you think, what you say, what you do needs to match with your values, and that gives you the integrity to live and to lead. Engaging means you show up with passion. I don't know if you're glad to be in this session today. I see at least one has dropped off. That's unfortunate. You're glad to be here today. And think about it. How many of us are glad to be anywhere today? Absolutely. Now, showing up with passion, that's genuine passion. That's not fake it till you make it passion. That's coming from the inside out. As one little first grader said to me one day, I like to serve because it makes me feel warm inside. She was a first grade K kid. It's like, oh my gosh, it makes me feel warm inside. And I said, and how do I know it makes you feel warm inside? And she said, well, you can tell I'm smiling. And I thought, that little kid's whole body lit up. She smiled with her entire face. Her I mean, that little kid lived with genuine passion. She just lit up the room all the time. And I thought, you know what? That's how we lead. To engage, we need to share our story. And tell you what, Governor Alma, I back that 100% because it's by sharing our stories that we engage others to come with us on this amazing journey that we have. It's by sharing our stories that we share what we do. It's how we encourage others, and particularly our students, to leap tall buildings, to help believe in them. That's how we share who we are and what we do. To educate, engage, and I truly believe the third one is to empower, to connect. When my youngest daughter was in college, she had to write a paper. And she said, what's one word that means everything to you in Kiwanis? And I thought, only one? That's really hard. I thought, oh, it's connection. Kiwanis is about connection, and being a leader in Kiwanis is about connecting. First of all, to our cause, and that cause is building a powerful, positive world for kids and communities, right? One child, one community at a time, connecting to our cause and believing that with everything that we have. The second is connecting to each other, connecting in our clubs. So our clubs, and Governor Alma talked about that, become family to us. Now, that is that's really hard to wrap your arms around and even describe how that helps affect your life. And Alma talked about those two Kiwanians, Harry and Don, that came and stayed with her that afternoon. Wow. That leaves a lifelong positive impact. Some of you may know that over a 7-month period of time, I lost my sister-in-law, my mother, my father, one of our dearest friends, and my husband, all within 7 months. And I can tell you that I was surrounded by family and friends that loved me. And I can also tell you that that connection to the Kiwanis world is what saved my life. My faith, of course, comes first. That's what saved me. That's who saved me. And my Kiwanis world wrapped their arms around me. I can tell you every single day in the last year and a half, I have had an email, a text message, a phone call, a card, gift baskets arriving. It's like, wow, seriously, visits from Kiwanians. The Ken loves to send me little cartoons, little GIFs, little fun things. It's like, yes, love that. It's those connections that keep Kiwanis so powerful, and I don't believe we share enough. Wow, you heard it last night when President-elect Katrina said, how can we possibly keep something so wonderful to ourselves? Why aren't we sharing this even more? Let's take a lead from our key clubbers in the Southwest District and take Kiwanis forward to even pre-pandemic numbers. Let's invite everyone we know, and in fact, people we don't know, to come and be part of our cause, each other, and the structure, which is worldwide. Now, there are many times we don't think about the fact that this worldwide organization has a huge impact for us. We can help kids in our own community. We can also help kids on the other side of the world, which we don't even think about at times. I was in Israel on a pilgrimage in October, and I heard women talking in one of the buffet lanes, and I turned and said, "Are you from Romania by any chance?" And the woman said, "Yes, we are." And she said, how do you know Romania? And I said, well, I spent some time in Romania when I was president of Kiwanis International. We started to talk When she got home, she contacted me and said, I want to be part of this. This woman chartered a club February 4th in Romania.
Wow.
Has already sponsored a high school robotics club. They're already doing things in their communities. My goodness, we are empowered as leaders to make a positive difference in the world through connections at a buffet table. And I laugh about that because it was generally my late husband, Gus Erickson, who was at the buffet table and making those connections. It's incredibly powerful on our part to encourage through excellent communication, listening skills, sharing our story, being able to involve others, educate, engage, and empower in a way that people want to be part of this incredible organization that we call Kiwanis. Educate, engage, empower. And I love this graphic. Each one of us holds the power to improve the world in our hands. Each one of us is powerful in our own way. No two of us are alike. I mean, if we were exactly alike, there wouldn't be a need for one of us, right? Each one of us has our own skills, abilities, positive attitudes that we bring to Kiwanis. Each one of us has our own ways of doing this. How do we build that in our communities? How do we build that hope? How do we step up? Well, it's time to do it right now. 32 years ago, a little man walked into my office and invited me to join Kiwanis. And oh my goodness, am I thankful I said yes to Dean Clark at that time. I'm very thankful I said yes to many of the people along the way who mentored me, who encouraged me, who supported me and said, we think you'd be great at this. Come and try it. Well, I wasn't great at a lot of that stuff, but I learned a lot and I've gotten better along the way. And I appreciate every time I have participated as they educated me, as they engaged me and empowered me to be who I am and to bring that to who we are. How can you help yourself? One, be a lifelong learner. How many of you have learned at least 2 new things today? Excellent. How else? You can engage a mentor. Are you too old to have mentors? Nope. My parents, my husband, my children, they're all incredible mentors. I have Kiwanis mentors all over the world. Many of you need to become mentors. I probably should say many of you have the opportunity to become members, to become mentors for others. We're living a legacy every single day. And to believe. I'm going to share with you that I did 3 key leader events last fall. One in October, one in November, one in December. And the thing that surprised me, shocked me, or perhaps disturbed me the most was the level of belief in themselves and in their futures. When we started on Friday, I thought, oh my goodness, what has happened to our young people? And I make a point at every single key leader to ask every one of the adults to look every student in the eye and say, I believe in you. And the challenge is that many of them don't believe in themselves and don't believe in the world around them right now. So let's help them create. Let's take your 3,500 key clubbers and let's help them create the world we all want to live in. Believe that we can and believe that each one of us is making a difference. We go back to the leaders that we wrote down on these pages. Many of them are already gone. They're still leaving a legacy. And we're leading that legacy. So act. Do it now. If you've been thinking about being a club leader, step up. If you're thinking about being a lieutenant governor, remember it's one of the best jobs in the world. Step up. If you're thinking about being governor, you've got a tremendous amount of past governors in this district to chat with about what an incredible opportunity that is. Thinking about running for a higher office? Call me. I'd love to share with you. What will you do to improve yourself and Kiwanis as a leader? It's a personal question. It's one for you to answer. And why do we want to be excellent leaders in Kiwanis? Because our children are counting on us. Every one of our children is counting on us. These happen to be my grandchildren from many years ago. This little one right now just turned 16. What kind of a world are we creating for them? And what world are we creating for us? So I ask you, are you too old to make a difference? You're never too old to make a positive difference. Let's start doing it today. Thank you, my friends. Now, I left you some questions. Time for questions, Alma. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Madam
Does
Governor.
anybody have any questions for Jane? Questions, comments, input? Come on, leaders.
Come on, I filled your
Empower
time.
yourself. Speak.
One thought, because of the original request that Jane had of putting 3 people down. And of course, it's impossible to do 3. I think everybody, once they started thinking of people, it became 10 and 15. But when you think of those people and the impact they had on your lives, and go the step beyond of people who might have your name down.
Yes.
And how you touched other lives. We talk about a Kiwanis moment. I had one where, and this happened, gosh, I've been in Kiwanis 1 year less than you. I've been in 31 years. And somewhere in the first 10 years, we used to do a program for the kids where we'd clothe underprivileged children. We do 70 every year in the Glendale Club. And there was one that was very timid, and he was afraid to even do good in school, because when he did good, they beat him up. And I tried to tell him a story about my childhood where similar things happened. I was borderline street kid. Joe knows Brooklyn. I know Jersey City. It was very similar in the streets. And I told the kid, I said, you know, you do the best thing you can. You do it right. Yeah, you may get a few bloody noses and cut lips, but you be the best you can be. And don't let anybody tell you, no, you can't. My greatest motivation is someone telling me I can't. I said, get out of my way and watch. And that's what motivated me to do good in everything I touched, whether it be Kiwanis or school or sports. But it works. And this one child, which if he had a list, he'd probably put me on that list. When he graduated from 8th grade, we were giving away $50 stipends to go to high school. I didn't recognize the kid because it was 3rd grade when I first met him. And here it is, 8th grade, 5 years later. And he comes up to me, and a very clean cut kid now. And he yanks on my jacket and said, Mr. Shapiro, do you remember me? And I said, I'm sorry, I don't. And he says, I'm Juan. I'm the person you told 5 years ago that if I do the best I can, I'll be okay. And yeah, I had some bloody lips and bloody noses. But here I am, and you're giving me this stipend to go to high school. And I got tears in my eyes. I touched a kid. And that's what Kiwanis is all about.
And
Then
that
when
is
he
such a
graduated high
power.
school. Yeah, he came to my office when he graduated high school. And he praised me for giving him the motivation to not let anything get in his way. And he was the first one in his family out of 7 kids to go to college, plus to graduate high school in that matter. And after he graduated, he came and saw me again. He became an architect. Haven't heard from him in a while, but that's the kind of thing that we all feel. And that's the motivation we get if we touched a life, we saved a life, we helped a child. That makes us keep going. That's what Kiwanis is. That's what we are. And I hope we can continue it. And Jane, you epitomize that too.
Well, thank you. And that's why it just resonated with me last night when President-elect Katrina said, how can we not share this with others? Because the impact that we can make on a daily basis, the positive impact we can make is just staggering when you stop and think about that. So thank you, Harry. Hello, Don.
Hi, Jane. I remember our great times in Santa Fe too, at breakfast.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. When I asked if they put chilies in everything in the Southwest District,
Yes, even in the
I was going
muffins.
to
Yeah.
die.
That was a great day.
It was.
I also am a great believer in vision. And I want to, in your mind, I'd like you to go into the future and tell us how you visualize Kiwanis in the future, what the membership looks like, what Kiwanis looks like well into the future, and how we're going to get there.
Well, I'll tell you what, I had a K kid ask me that. Actually, she's kind of funny. She's kind of like the one years ago who said to me, oh my gosh, you're such a fun person and you're so funny. I mean, for an old person. Thank you. So when we were sitting talking about it, and I said to the K kids, what do you think this will look like? And this little boy said, you mean when I'm old like you?
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, when I'm old and have a beard. Thank you. And they said, well, we need to make certain every school has Kiwanis in it. Every school needs a K kids. I mean, why doesn't every school have that? And I thought, that's true. Why don't they? This year, I got a call from the middle school that said, your K kids are now in middle school. They want to know why we don't have a builders club. I thought, wow. Well, we now have builders club in that school as well. What I'd love to see is that Kiwanis is helping kids in every community around the world. That the Kiwanis name is known for positive impact. That if you want something done in a community, you go to the Kiwanis Club. And if the Kiwanis Club can't do it, they will find partners to help. To me, that would be the ultimate, being able to have people to help kids and communities worldwide. We may not always meet in a club setting. In the future, that might be a little bit different. Maybe our club meetings are at K Kids. We may look a little bit different. I think that would be important. I think that's important that we continue to look as our communities look, that we have all different nationalities represented. I mean, you're pretty, I'm now, instead of looking at a PowerPoint, I'm looking at all of you and I'm thinking we all, those of us who have pictures, we all kind of look alike, right? In the future, I would like to see that we have all different colors, all different shapes, all different sizes, all different ages.
Hey, Jan, a couple of things, thinking.
Okay, so tell me who's talking right now.
Can you hear
Joe.
me?
Is that Joe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I was just thinking of two things. Number one is faculty advisors. You know, we have a difficult time. I'm not trying to be negative here, you know me. A difficult time with teachers and advisors. In one of the schools that I deal with, the coaches get paid. Not much, maybe $500, maybe whatever. Faculty advisors don't get paid. I mean, it's as simple as that. So we do have a situation. So what we try to do is find out from the administrator or somebody else in the school, any of your teachers, former key clubbers or former, involved in any kind of, and that has really helped us to get faculty advisors. So that's just, just to throw it out. The other thing is more important, I think, members being discouraged. When I say that is I hear you know, Joe, I've asked 10 people to join Kiwanis, and they all said, I've done that before. I've been in, I'm like, well, you know what? Forget about those 10 people. Go to another 10 people. You get the feeling of being discouraged, and then you're not going to do it anymore. We had this happen at our board meeting, believe it or not. And it was very disturbing to me because these are supposed to be the people that are saying, come on, let's go out and get, you know, somebody's that. So working on your own members to become more positive. And the way to do that is get out in the community and do something. Take your key clubbers to a local, let's say, senior facility and go in there and trim the trees, do something with the kids or with the adults or bring ice cream. You know what I'm saying? If you get them involved with the key club kids and they meet them and they go there, it's very encouraging. So hands-on type thing, I think is very helpful for getting new members. It really, really is. So that's my thought.
Well, thank you. And I agree with that. In terms of our advisors, we have 3 advisors in my K Kids Club. The school pays a small amount because the school, our school district expects each of the teachers to have one extracurricular job of some kind, and they are paid to do that. A small amount. You're right. They don't get paid a lot. We also give them a stipend at the end of the year. But we've had 3 for 24 years. One of them is still one of the originals. She and I started together and we're still there. It's like, holy cow. You're right. Bring back some of your key clubbers. I had a young woman walk in to my meeting. I looked up and thought, Kristen? And she said, yes, Mrs. Erickson, it's so good to see you. And I said, wait a minute. Are you the Kristen that was one of our first presidents in K Kids? And she said, I know. Isn't that exciting? I wanted you to know that I graduated. I have a teaching degree. I am now going to be the Key Club advisor at the high school that I'm in. I thought, oh my gosh, I've been here a long time. That's my first thought. But you're right. We need to talk. We need to think about what we're saying, share Kiwanis in a positive way. Do we have challenges? Absolutely, we do. Let's sit down, think about how we can address those challenges, engage with each other. The worst thing you can do is walk away from the challenge and say, nope, not dealing with that person. Nope, whatever.
Jane, excuse me for interrupting, but Lon Griffiths would like to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who is
this? Is Lon Griffiths
okay.
with Tempe Club. We always hear about the people in the 30s and 40s are non-joiners and they can't be reached. Companies don't seem to encourage people to get involved in their community anymore. Do you have any observations and strategies to reach this generation or this culture to get them to become part of the community? Because I hear this non-joiner in churches and other groups that just seem to have to deal with this obstacle.
Well, and you're right, Lon, that is and I'm sorry, I didn't see you on the screen before wanting to ask a question. That is becoming a big issue, even with other nonprofit organizations who don't have enough volunteers to help with the things that they do with some of their fundraisers, some of their runs or whatever they do to actually bring funds in to help support their organization. Our young people are willing to help. And it's about engaging them personally, finding out what they want to accomplish, going one-on-one with our young people because they do want to help. They do want to make the world a better place. They don't always like meetings. They don't always like to sit and have coffee. You might have to meet them at a club or meet them at the bar. I've met some of them in a church. And we've talked about how to make the world a better place. They drop in once a week, perhaps into this meeting. Our Circle Cares, I see James' name on here. The Circle Cares are known for doing the most service of any organization in our Kiwanis world. Well, they're only a few years younger than the people we're talking about right now. So again, it's a matter of engaging not in what we want them to do, helping support what they want to do in order to make a difference in their communities. I hope that makes sense.
Hey, Jane, I wanted to mention something for everybody in our district. How many would like to meet Jane Erickson in person? Well, everybody's hands should be up. Come on, I want everybody.
Boy, man.
I saw a couple.
Now, my job as a Southwest District person to get everyone to go to the international convention. This is my push to tell everyone. Ken has sent out all the information on how to sign up. I want you to go to the international convention in Minneapolis, and then we can meet Jane in person. So please sign up early, get your rooms reserved, get your people in your clubs to go. I'd like to see a great turnout for the Southwest District at the International Convention. If you've never been, you better go now. It's a great time, and Jane is a wonderful person to meet. So please sign up to go to the convention.
Well, that was just a shameless plug, Harry. Thank you. Yeah. Come to Minneapolis, and I will be walking down the hall with Harry on one side, and the Ken will be on the other.
I will invite Jane to our combined district dinner where the Southwest District, Rocky Mountain, and Indiana, we all do a combined district dinner. So you are invited to that, and I will take care of your meal for that.
Okay. And what night are you doing that?
It's going to be Friday night. We don't have a contract yet. We're almost there. Friday night, it's going to be at a place called the Newsroom, and there'll be 3 districts there, and we're going to be celebrating Kiwanis International.
That's
The newsroom is awesome.
Woohoo!
Really good food
Good. Well,
and drinks.
Y'all know I love
Well,
it.
I had invited Jane to come to our convention in July, at the end of July in Tucson. But unfortunately, as you might imagine, she's very popular. So she unfortunately cannot be there. But I think you've met Jane. Those of us who are lucky enough to be on the screen with Jane, you've met Jane. This is who she is. She gives it her all. She smiles while she's doing it, and she genuinely loves people, and she loves leaders. And so, if you would, I hate to do this, but it is 10:55, and so I would like to send Jane off. Well, one little thing before I do that. When Jane was international president, her logo, if you will, was hands of many colors coming together, and it was beautiful, and she still is signified by that. And I want you all to think of that whenever you see or hear Jane, or you have the opportunity. And if there are people that should have been on this screen with us today and weren't here, I hope you pull their ears and say, hey, this is taped and we don't want to miss a thing. So it's without any further ado, let's all please unmute and say thank you to Jane. All at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have
Bye-bye.
filled my heart today. Thank you so much.
Good.
Be happy, healthy, safe, and loved. Mwah. Love you. Bye.
I gotta make a phone call.
So we have just a couple of minutes at 11 o'clock. We will welcome past Governor B.K. Knappenberger, who is going to speak to us and give us very much needed knowledge, and something that we've enjoyed the fun part. We've enjoyed the excitement and everything that we've been lucky enough to have last night and today. BK has he has that opportunity to teach us something we have to learn as we deal with young people. Unfortunately, we can't just go and hug everybody and call it good. We have to do things in a certain manner. And because we're Kiwanians and we do lead by example, BK is going to share with us, what we need to know going forward if we're working with young people. And I do appreciate everyone who's been on the screen this morning. Ken, do you have anything that you'd like to share until it's time for BK?
Sorry, I was trying to get BK's PowerPoint ready to go.
I'm sorry.
No, okay. So couple of important things that we need to keep in mind right now. 990s were due to the IRS by February 15th or an extension. I said this to the lieutenant governors. I'll say this to everybody. The district created a policy 2 years ago, 1 year ago, something like that, where you need to send the district a copy of your 990 because we have had some clubs that have lost their 990s or lost their 501c4 status. Very expensive, very time consuming, very difficult to get back. What I have noticed is the people, the clubs, the leaders who have already sent me the 990s without any questions, any of that stuff, we don't have any worries about. The ones that are forgetting about it or whatever, those are the ones we need to keep our eyes on and we need to help them. So if you're a lieutenant governor, any of your clubs have not sent in their 990s, please, let's see what we can do to help them out. Yesterday, Kiwanis International released their charter suspended notice list. And unfortunately, this year, we have more people on this list than ever before. These are clubs that are over 90 days and over $150 in arrears to Kiwanis International. We have until March 31st to help these clubs get caught up. After March 31st, they are moved to CS status, which is charter suspended, which basically means they're almost out of Kiwanis. No insurance is available to them for any of their projects. It's a tough situation. It's a bad situation. And then after March 31st, if they are moved to CS and they remain on CS at the beginning of the board meeting at Kiwanis International, they are charter revoked. We don't want any of that to happen. So, do you want me to list the club? Well, I don't know if I can pull it up fast enough. I know I have it here. The clubs that we need to contact and help, or do you want me to just talk about that at the lieutenant governor's meeting? So that's kind of
list.
What's that?
Is it a big list or is it a short list?
It's actually longer. I was actually a little shocked when I saw it. It is let me pull it up a different way here. I'm having a hard time pulling it up on my let's just pull it up here real quick. All right, let's see where it is. It is this list right here. I'll just do a quick screen share with everybody.
Oh, great.
So if
That would help.
if they are they're active and in good standing. If they are CSN, I'm figuring you guys can all see that now. They need our help. This is what they started with. This is what they're at. So like Alamogordo Noon, they've gained 5 members. Awesome. Great job. Thank you very much. But they are CSN, and this is the amount of money they owe. So I'll scroll through this slowly. Albuquerque Club, Bradshaw Mountain, Bullhead City, Casa Grande, Colorado River, above Bullhead City, Desert Ridge, downtown Mesa, El Centro, El Paso, Greater Douglas, Kingman Powerhouse, Las Vegas Sunrise, Los Altos, Los Lunas, Queen Creek, Tempe Sunrise, Tucson, and Zane Gray. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, almost 20 clubs that we need to reach out and talk to. I was actually a little shocked yesterday when I saw this list, because usually there's 5 to 7. That's not unusual. But to have 19 clubs, we need to really help out these clubs and talk to them and see what we can do. Part of it is new secretaries and new treasurers who just aren't aware. And as soon as this is brought to their attention, everything's fixed, everything's great, it's no big deal. But there's just a few that they may actually need our help. So if you know these clubs, if you're in these clubs, and if you need me to help you, reach out to me, reach out to Governor Alma, reach out to whoever you want to, and let's help these clubs out and let's get them back on track, because we're doing great work and we don't want to be losing any clubs.
Yeah, and 20 clubs, and we have 86 clubs in our district. So that's like a quarter of our clubs. That doesn't speak very good for us. And we are the Great Southwest District, so let's help them get this fixed.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised at this. I got 2 of my 6 clubs are on that list. Now, where is this list available that we could get it?
So go to your, we can discuss this during Lieutenant Governor Training Day, but if you go to your Lieutenant Governor's dashboard and go membership totals year to date, you can pull this list at any time that you would like. And if you have a hard time pulling it, just ask me and I can export it to you. I can email it to you. I can walk you through this. I can walk you through it. There's multiple ways to get it to you. Whatever is easier for you, I am willing to help you get it. And as Lieutenant Governor, Bob, you will receive this afternoon, or actually you've already received it. I sent the email earlier to Lieutenant Governors a little while ago. So you should have it.
Okay.
Hey, Ken, Greg Landers here. Could
Yes, sir.
you take a look at that list again for Tucson? I think you might have misread one line there.
Okay. Let's see. Tucson. Which Tucson am I looking at here? Let's see. So Tularosa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Kiwanis
okay,
Club of
you-
Tucson is okay, right?
Yeah, you are correct. I'm sorry about
Okay,
that. I did say Tucson. I should have said Tularosa, which is the line right below it.
I'll turn down my pacemaker now.
Okay, sorry about that. But at least we know you're paying attention, so thank you for that.